What happens when a routine daytime television interview suddenly turns into the kind of confrontation that leaves an entire studio frozen in silence? What begins as another celebrity appearance quickly transforms into a tense exchange where every word matters, every glance carries weight, and millions of viewers can't look away. Before we dive into this unforgettable fictional story, make sure you subscribe to Prime Spotlight, give this video a like, and share your thoughts in the comments, because we bring you dramatic celebrity stories that keep you on the edge of your seat. The lights inside the studio glow with their familiar warmth. The audience settles into their seats with excited smiles, expecting laughter, lighthearted conversation, and perhaps a few stories from Hollywood. The cameras sweep across the set before settling on the hosts, who welcome viewers with polished confidence. Then comes the introduction everyone has been waiting for. Jennifer Lawrence walks onto the stage wearing a relaxed smile, waving to the audience as applause fills the room. She looks comfortable, joking with the crowd before taking her seat. Anyone watching would assume the interview would follow the usual rhythm: stories about filmmaking, humorous behind-the-scenes moments, and friendly conversation. For the first several minutes, that's exactly what happens. Jennifer laughs about the challenges of filming demanding scenes. She shares funny moments from life away from the cameras, making even the hosts laugh along with her. The atmosphere feels effortless. Even sunny Hostin smiles warmly as the conversation moves naturally from one topic to another. But television has a strange way of changing direction in an instant. As one discussion winds down, Sunny glances toward the cards resting on the table. Her expression changes ever so slightly. The audience doesn't notice. Jennifer notices. She straightens slightly in her chair. Sunny speaks calmly. "Jennifer, you've always been known for speaking your mind." Jennifer nods. "I try to. And sometimes," Sunny continues carefully, "people admire that honesty, while others feel celebrities can unintentionally oversimplify complicated issues." A quiet murmur moves through the audience. Jennifer's smile fades, not dramatically, but enough for attentive viewers to recognize the shift. Sunny continues. "So here's my question." The cameras tighten. "When someone with your platform comments on serious public issues, do you ever worry that confidence can sometimes sound like certainty, even when the conversation deserves more nuance?" The studio becomes remarkably quiet. Jennifer doesn't answer immediately. She looks at Sunny for several seconds. Not angry, not offended, simply thinking. The silence itself begins creating tension. Finally, she smiles politely. "That's actually an interesting question." Sunny nods. "But," Jennifer leans forward slightly, "I think there's another question underneath that one." The audience grows still. Sunny raises an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Jennifer folds her hands together. "I think sometimes people ask celebrities whether they should speak at all." Sunny responds without hesitation. "I don't think that's what I asked." "No," Jennifer replies gently. "But I think that's where conversations like this often end up." The audience reacts with a few scattered claps. Sunny remains composed. "My question isn't about silence. It's about responsibility." Jennifer nods slowly. "And I agree, responsibility matters." Sunny continues. "Then how do you decide when you're informed enough to speak?" The words land heavily. Jennifer smiles again, but this time it's smaller. "You know." She pauses. "I've spent years answering questions from reporters." She glances briefly toward the audience. "And sometimes the hardest questions aren't difficult because they're uncomfortable." She looks back at Sunny. "They're difficult because they're built on assumptions." Sunny tilts her head. "What assumption are you hearing?" Jennifer answers calmly. "That because I'm an actress, my thoughts automatically deserve less consideration than someone else's." A louder wave of applause spreads through the audience. Sunny waits patiently before responding. "I don't think being an actress makes your opinions less valuable." Jennifer nods. "I appreciate that. But," Sunny continues, "being influential comes with enormous responsibility." Jennifer doesn't interrupt. Sunny adds, "Millions of people listen to what celebrities say. Doesn't that create an obligation to be extraordinarily careful?" Jennifer smiles thoughtfully. "It absolutely does." The audience relaxes slightly. For a moment, it appears the tension has disappeared. But then Jennifer adds one more sentence. "I just think that obligation exists for everyone sitting at this table." The applause instantly becomes louder. Some audience members clap enthusiastically. Others exchange surprised looks. The hosts glance toward one another. Sunny remains composed. "I agree," she says. But we're asking questions. Jennifer nods again. And I'm answering them. The exchange remains respectful. Yet the energy has completely changed. Every answer now feels sharper. Every pause feels longer. Even viewers at home begin leaning closer to their screens. The producers behind the cameras quietly exchange glances. One whispers into a headset, "Stay with this." The director nods. Nobody wants to cut away. Sunny takes another measured breath. "Jennifer, yes, you've built a reputation for authenticity." "I hope so. But authenticity isn't always comfortable." Jennifer laughs softly. "No kidding." The audience laughs with her. Sunny smiles briefly before asking another question. "So let me ask directly." Jennifer looks attentive. "Have there ever been moments when you've looked back and thought?" Sunny pauses deliberately. "I should have said less?" A hush falls across the studio. Jennifer doesn't answer immediately. She studies the audience. Then she looks directly at Sunny. "When I was younger?" She nods. "Absolutely." Sunny seems slightly surprised. Jennifer continues. "I've made mistakes. I've spoken too quickly. I've answered questions before fully thinking them through." She shrugs gently. "That's called being human." Several audience members applaud. "But," Jennifer says, her voice becoming more serious, "learning from mistakes shouldn't mean becoming afraid to speak forever." The applause grows stronger. Sunny nods respectfully. "I think most people would agree with that." Jennifer smiles. "I hope so." Then Sunny quietly says something that changes the entire atmosphere once again. "There's one more question." The audience falls silent. Jennifer's expression becomes curious. Sunny places her notes on the table. "This one's a little tougher." The cameras slowly move closer. Even the audience seems to stop breathing. Jennifer simply smiles. "Go ahead." And in that moment, no one inside the studio realizes that the next question is about to push their conversation into completely unexpected territory. The friendly interview is over. What follows will test both women in ways neither of them anticipated. Sunny held Jennifer's gaze for a long moment before speaking. The pause seemed to stretch across the studio, making every audience member wonder what was coming next. "You've spoken a lot about authenticity," Sunny said evenly. "But some critics argue that celebrities choose when to be vulnerable and when to avoid difficult conversations. They say honesty sometimes becomes selective. How would you respond to that?" The audience fell silent again. Jennifer didn't react immediately. She rested one hand on the arm of her chair and let the question settle. "I'd say that's a fair criticism to explore," she replied calmly. "But I'd also ask who gets to decide when someone has been honest enough." Sunny nodded. "The public, perhaps." Jennifer smiled politely. "The public has every right to disagree with me. That's part of living in the spotlight. But disagreement shouldn't automatically become a judgment of someone's character." A few people applauded. Sunny continued. "So when people question your sincerity, does it bother you?" Jennifer laughed softly. "If I said no, I'd be lying." The audience laughed with her. "I'm a person before I'm an actress," Jennifer continued. "Words still affect me. Headlines still affect me. Social media still affects me. I've just learned not to let every opinion define who I am." The honesty seemed to soften the atmosphere. For a brief moment. Then Sunny leaned forward slightly. "But isn't that easier to say when you're one of Hollywood's biggest stars?" Jennifer's expression became thoughtful. "I don't think success protects anyone from criticism." Sunny waited. Jennifer continued. "If anything, it magnifies it." The audience listened closely. "You can have 100 kind comments," Jennifer said. "Then one harsh one sticks in your mind all day. That's human nature." Sunny nodded slowly. "I understand that. But the reason I ask," she continued, "is because many viewers look up to public figures. They want accountability." Jennifer answered without hesitation. "They deserve accountability." "And what does accountability look like to you?" Jennifer paused. "It means admitting when you're wrong. It means listening. It means being willing to change." She looked directly at Sunny. "But it also means allowing people the space to grow." The audience erupted into applause. Sunny acknowledged the reaction with a small smile. "Growth is important." "It is," Jennifer agreed. "But growth becomes impossible if every mistake becomes a permanent label." The applause grew even louder. Behind the cameras, producers exchanged quiet glances. The conversation had become far more compelling than anyone expected. One crew member whispered, "This is the interview everyone will be talking about." Sunny glanced briefly toward the audience before returning to Jennifer. "I appreciate that answer." Jennifer smiled. Thank you. But, Sunny added, there's another side. Jennifer nodded. I'm listening. There are people who feel celebrities receive endless second chances while ordinary people don't. Jennifer's smile faded into quiet reflection. I've thought about that. And I think privilege exists in many forms. The audience leaned in. I'm fortunate in ways many people aren't, Jennifer admitted. I'd never deny that. Sunny seemed pleased by the candid response. But privilege, Jennifer continued, doesn't erase humanity. It doesn't eliminate mistakes. It doesn't eliminate fear. It certainly doesn't eliminate pressure. Sunny folded her hands together. So how do you separate public expectation from personal identity? Jennifer looked toward the audience for a moment before answering. I stopped trying to be everyone's version of perfect. Several audience members applauded immediately. I realized something years ago. Sunny asked quietly, what was that? Jennifer smiled. If someone has already decided who you are. She paused. Nothing you say will change their mind. The audience responded with another wave of applause. Sunny considered the answer carefully. That sounds a little pessimistic. Jennifer shook her head. I actually think it's freeing. How so? Because then you stop performing for approval. You start living according to your values instead. Sunny smiled slightly. That's a powerful distinction. The audience nodded along. The atmosphere had shifted once again. It no longer felt like a celebrity interview. It felt like two people genuinely challenging each other's perspectives. Even the other hosts remained unusually quiet, sensing that interrupting would break the rare rhythm developing between them. Sunny asked another question, this time more softly. Do interviews like this ever make you nervous? Jennifer laughed. They should. The audience laughed too. I've always believed good conversations involve a little discomfort. Sunny smiled. So you're comfortable being uncomfortable? Jennifer grinned. Not at all. The audience burst into laughter. I just don't run away from it anymore. That answer earned perhaps the loudest applause of the afternoon. Sunny waited until the applause settled. You know, she said, I wasn't trying to corner you. Jennifer nodded. I know. I wanted viewers to hear how you think. Jennifer smiled warmly. And I wanted viewers to see that difficult questions don't have to become personal attacks. The audience applauded both women. For a brief second, the tension seemed to disappear entirely. Then a producer stepped closer to the edge of the stage and quietly signaled that there were only a few minutes remaining before the commercial break. Sunny noticed. So we have time for one final question before we pause. Jennifer took a slow breath. I'm ready. Sunny looked down at a note that had been handed to her moments earlier. Her expression subtly changed. This question, she said, comes from something viewers have been debating online. Jennifer's smile became more cautious. Sunny looked directly at her. They want to know whether public figures sometimes mistake confidence for moral authority. A ripple spread through the audience. Jennifer blinked once. The room felt noticeably heavier. She leaned forward, rested her elbows lightly on her knees, and answered with quiet conviction. I think confidence should never replace humility. The audience remained silent, waiting for more. But humility, Jennifer continued, also means recognizing that no one, not celebrities, not television hosts, not anyone, is above being questioned. For the first time that afternoon, Sunny didn't respond immediately. She simply looked at Jennifer. Jennifer looked back. Neither smiled. The audience could sense that the conversation had reached an entirely new level. What neither woman realized was that the most emotionally charged exchange of the interview was still ahead, and it would leave the studio audience stunned. The silence lingered just a little longer than anyone expected. It wasn't an uncomfortable silence. It was the kind that settles over a room when everyone senses they're watching something genuine unfold. The applause had faded, the cameras remained locked on Jennifer and Sunny, and even the audience seemed reluctant to shift in their seats. Sunny broke the silence first. You've said no one is above being questioned. Jennifer nodded. I believe that. Sunny leaned forward. Then let me ask you something that some people might consider unfair. Jennifer smiled faintly. Those are usually the questions people remember. A ripple of laughter eased the tension, but only for a moment. Sunny looked directly into Jennifer's eyes. Do you think celebrities sometimes mistake being heard for being right? Jennifer's expression grew thoughtful. I think anyone can make that mistake. Sunny didn't interrupt. It isn't unique to actors, Jennifer continued. It can happen to politicians, journalists, television hosts, even ordinary people with a large social media following. The audience murmured in agreement. The real challenge, Jennifer said, is remembering that influence doesn't replace listening. Sunny nodded slowly. So if someone strongly disagrees with you, I hope they'll tell me why. And if they're harsh, Jennifer shrugged. I'll try to separate the emotion from the message. Sunny smiled slightly. That's easier said than done. It definitely is. The audience laughed softly. Jennifer continued, her voice calm but confident. I've learned that criticism isn't always an attack. Sometimes it's an opportunity to understand how someone else sees the world. The room filled with applause. Sunny acknowledged the reaction before asking another question. But do you ever worry that audiences expect celebrities to have all the answers? Jennifer laughed. I worry that celebrities sometimes think they have all the answers. The audience erupted with laughter and applause. Even Sunny couldn't help smiling. That's probably one of the most honest things you've said today. Jennifer grinned. It's one of the easiest truths to admit. The atmosphere had become lighter again, but beneath the humor, there was still an unmistakable intensity. Every exchange carried weight because neither woman was trying to score points. They were trying to make one another think. Sunny glanced briefly toward the audience. I've interviewed many public figures. Jennifer listened carefully. And I've noticed something. What is it? The strongest interviews aren't the ones where everyone agrees. Jennifer nodded. They're the ones where people leave understanding each other a little better. Several audience members applauded. Sunny smiled. I couldn't agree more. For the first time since the conversation had begun, it felt as though they had reached common ground. Then one audience member stood during the brief audience interaction segment. The producers hesitated before handing over a microphone. The woman smiled nervously. My question is for both of you. Sunny welcomed her. Go ahead. She looked first at Jennifer. You've talked about accountability. Jennifer nodded. Then she turned to Sunny. And you've talked about responsibility. Sunny smiled. So here's my question. The audience leaned in. Can two people completely disagree and still respect each other? The studio became quiet once again. Sunny gestured toward Jennifer. Ladies first. Jennifer smiled appreciatively. I think respect is tested most when people disagree. She paused. If respect only exists when everyone shares the same opinion. She looked around the studio. Then it isn't really respect. The audience applauded enthusiastically. Sunny waited for the applause to fade. I'd answer similarly. She looked toward the audience member. Real conversations require curiosity. She turned back toward Jennifer. And curiosity disappears the moment we decide someone has nothing worth hearing. Jennifer smiled warmly. I couldn't have said that better. The audience responded with the loudest applause yet. Even the crew behind the cameras exchanged satisfied glances. One producer whispered, This has completely changed from what we expected. Another nodded, in the best possible way. Just as the conversation seemed to be winding down, Sunny glanced toward one of the monitors positioned off stage. A producer had sent in one final prompt. She looked back at Jennifer. I have one last thought. Jennifer nodded. I'm listening. Sunny folded the card in her hands. Throughout this interview, you've challenged several of my questions. Jennifer smiled. I've tried to challenge the ideas, not you. Sunny acknowledged the distinction. And I appreciate that. She paused before continuing. But viewers at home may still wonder whether you were being defensive. Jennifer didn't hesitate. Maybe I was. The audience looked surprised by the admission. She continued. When someone asks about your values, it's personal. She took a slow breath. So yes, I probably became defensive at moments. Sunny nodded respectfully. But I also think that's okay. Jennifer continued. The important part isn't pretending we never become emotional. It's recognizing it. And choosing to keep the conversation respectful anyway. The audience stood and applauded. Not because someone had won, but because neither person had tried to. Sunny smiled as the applause continued. I have to admit, Jennifer looked at her expectantly. I expected a much more combative interview. Jennifer laughed. So did I. The audience laughed with them. Sunny extended her hand across the table. Thank you for staying in the conversation. Jennifer reached across and shook it. Thank you for asking questions worth answering. The applause echoed throughout the studio as the cameras slowly pulled back. To viewers watching at home, it appeared the conversation had reached a satisfying conclusion. But outside the studio walls, clips of the exchange were already spreading across social media. Viewers were isolating individual quotes, debating every response, and choosing sides before the episode had even finished airing. By the time the credits began to roll, one thing had become clear. The real storm wasn't inside the studio anymore. It was just beginning online. As the cameras faded to commercial and the applause slowly settled, the atmosphere inside the studio felt completely different from when the interview had begun. Staff members who had witnessed countless celebrity appearances exchanged surprised looks. No shouting, no insults, no dramatic walk-off. Yet somehow, the conversation had become one of the most talked-about moments the show had seen in months. Jennifer Lawrence stood from her chair with a relaxed smile, thanking the audience as several people rose to applaud once more. Sunny Hostin smiled back, and for a brief moment, the two shared a quiet laugh that the television audience never saw. Whatever tension had existed during the interview remained on the stage, replaced backstage by mutual respect. But once the episode ended, the real conversation exploded beyond the studio. Within minutes, short clips began appearing across social media. One video highlighted Jennifer saying, "Influence doesn't replace listening." Another focused on Sunny's question about responsibility. A third captured Jennifer's remark that respect is tested most when people disagree. Millions of viewers watched the clips without seeing the full interview. Some immediately praised Jennifer's calm composure. She never lost her cool. That's how disagreements should happen. Others applauded Sunny. She asked the questions people wanted answered. She challenged without shouting. Then came the debates. Comment sections filled with thousands of opinions every hour. One viewer wrote, "Neither person was trying to win. They were trying to understand each other." Another responded, "This is what real conversations should look like." Not everyone agreed. Some believed Jennifer had skillfully redirected difficult questions. Others argued Sunny had pushed just hard enough without becoming confrontational. Morning radio shows discussed the exchange. Entertainment podcasts devoted entire episodes to analyzing the interview. Television commentators replayed key moments, pausing after nearly every sentence to debate what each expression, pause, and response might have meant. Meanwhile, journalists published opinion pieces with dramatically different headlines. Some called Jennifer's performance thoughtful and composed. Others argued Sunny had demonstrated exactly why difficult interviews still matter. As public discussion intensified, a new trend emerged online. Instead of asking who had won, more people began asking a different question. Why don't we see conversations like this more often? That question spread rapidly. Teachers shared clips during classroom discussions about communication. Business leaders referenced the exchange while talking about respectful disagreement. Even communication experts praised the fictional interview as an example of maintaining composure under pressure, noting that neither participant resorted to personal attacks despite challenging one another's ideas. A few days later, a reporter approached Jennifer during a fictional red carpet event. "Everyone's still talking about your interview," the reporter said. "Looking back, would you change anything?" Jennifer smiled thoughtfully. "I'd still answer the questions." She paused. "But I'd also remind people that conversations are supposed to be challenging sometimes. That's how we learn." Across town, Sunny was asked a similar question after another television appearance. "Do you regret asking such difficult questions?" She smiled. "Not at all." She continued, "Respect doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. It means having them with honesty and dignity." Those words quickly became another widely shared quote. Over the following week, the interview remained one of the most discussed entertainment stories online. Fans continued creating videos, sharing reactions, and debating every exchange. Some viewers remained firmly on Jennifer's side. Others believed Sunny had asked exactly what a professional interviewer should ask. Yet one thing united nearly everyone. People kept watching. Again and again. Because the conversation reminded viewers that disagreement doesn't have to become hostility. Strong opinions don't have to silence respectful dialogue. Two confident people can challenge one another without raising their voices. And sometimes the most memorable moments come not from conflict itself, but from the way people choose to handle it. As the attention slowly began to fade and new headlines took over, one lasting impression remained. This wasn't remembered as an interview where someone walked away victorious. It was remembered as a conversation where both participants stood their ground, listened carefully, and left with their dignity intact. And perhaps that's why audiences continued talking about it long after the cameras stopped rolling. Now it's your turn. If you watched this fictional story unfold, who do you think handled the pressure better? Jennifer Lawrence or Sunny Hostin? Did Jennifer answer the tough questions effectively, Or did Sunny ask exactly what viewers wanted to hear? Share your opinion in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective and join the conversation. And if you enjoy dramatic, cinematic celebrity stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe to Prime Spotlight, give this video a like, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next explosive story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.